2, 1. Hi, everyone. Nicolette here, coming to you from my living room. I am the CEO and founder of The Green Mustache, CEO of Richer Health Consulting, and we are about to launch our Richer Health Wellness Center that will allow people who are doing the Gerson Therapy or any type of nutritional protocol to come stay at our wellness center, where we are going to prepare 100% organic, plant-based, whole foods for you. We will do your juicing. You'll be able to do your liver detoxes. You'll be able to eat, clean, and rest. That is the most important part about healing, is getting the rest that you need. Now, I may come to you a little bit frazzled because it has been a wild day. Navigating the healthcare system when you have cancer, and when 20 different people, medical practitioners, healthcare practitioners are telling you 20 different things, is challenging. So I've been working with a friend of mine who was diagnosed with breast cancer and liver mets. Say hello to Gus here. He is my dog. He's sleeping behind me and he loves massages. So it's been a wild ride for these last few days as we are trying to get answers and trying to figure out which protocols that my clients and my friend are going to do. So I am going to slow down because I've been going at 150 miles per hour, and I want to make sure I tune in for you so we can talk about the health benefits of eating plant-based organic food, but in raw and cooked form. So yesterday, I went for this incredible energetic healing massage at one of the local clinics here in Whistler. And right away, the practitioner said, stop eating raw food. And I thought that was interesting because intuitively, my body has been saying, switch to warm foods. The temperature has dropped here in Whistler. It went from being 33 degrees for almost an entire 2 weeks, right down to 10 to 13 degrees at times. And so so intuitively, my body was saying, you know what, ditch the salads and switch to the soups. And that's what I was doing. And so within 2 seconds of walking into this RMT energy massage healer's office, that's exactly what he mentioned as well. He put his hand on my belly and immediately said, we don't need to quelch those fires. We need to help them thrive. So when it comes to healing the body, raw foods are incredibly important because they do contain all of those live enzymes and other goodness that can be destroyed by heat, exposure to light, exposure to oxygen, and other things. So there's definitely a huge mass movement to eating raw food. I mean, David Wolfe, he's incredible. I love his wealth of knowledge. I love, everything that he advocates for. I love guerrilla foods. And definitely there are some individuals that will thrive on eating a raw food diet. What I find, though, is that when my clients come to me and they have been suffering from a chronic illness, their bodies have been deficient for a really long time. They don't have the vitality within their system, their immune system, endocrine system, their digestive system. Switching to raw food entirely is really hard on their body. We had a staff, he was about 6'5", and he was working for us. And I just happened to comment one day because he was so tall, he had to actually crouch down to be able to be at a regular height to chop vegetables without breaking his back. And I looked at him and I said, wow, you're really tall, but I also observed that, you look particularly underweight or thin. And I wasn't saying this in a judgmental way. I was just actually really curious. Had he been that way his whole entire life? Maybe it's genetic and his entire family are tall and thin. And it actually turned out that he had switched to a raw food diet because he thought he needed to do that to heal himself. And the more raw food he ate, the more weight he lost, until he put himself into the hospital. Now, this is just one case, one anecdotal story, and it doesn't contain all the information, but it was pretty consistent with the research that I was doing around digestive health. One of the things I could say about that is that when your digestive fires are weak and you start with a raw food diet, the raw food comes in, it's cold food, and it further goes to quelch those digestive flames and all the other, we'll call them flames in the body. So when you switch to a raw food diet, it does take a lot of energy to break down the fibers, to break down those molecules of nutrients and energy. The body has to expend more energy, to get fuel, to get nutrients. And it could be really hard on the system. Now, think about a baby. When babies are born, for most of them, a lot of them, they have breast milk right away. Now, this is pure nutrients in liquid form that the baby takes in, and their little tiny digestive systems don't really have to get in the way. The nutrients are absorbed by osmosis. They go and hit their gut. They're absorbed across the gut lining. There's not a lot of energy that is used by the baby to have to absorb those nutrients. And ultimately, the babies just sleep, right? So they're sleeping and they're taking in nutrients by osmosis across the cell linings. And when someone is sick, we actually need to treat them like a newborn baby. And when they reach the 6-month mark, or 7 or 8 months, whenever a baby starts eating, we would never feed a baby a raw salad or raw fruits and vegetables. Generally, we tend to cook the vegetables, or we at least grind them up. And maybe the fruits, you might grind applesauce, but often most parents are cooking the food first. Now, there's lots of reasons why we cook it. We cook it to kill certain bacteria that the baby cannot tolerate just yet. We do it to break down the fibers. So we use heat to break down the fruit and vegetable fibers to make it easier on the digestion. What this does as well is it allows the nutrients to be released. For sure, the live enzymes that we want are not going to be present for that baby, but that's okay because they're still getting a lot of the nutrients through the milk. But what this does is it primes the baby's gut. It introduces, new bacteria, not in huge amounts. It introduces, fiber that's been broken down. It introduces the nutrients in a way that the baby can absorb. Now, if you're sick and have digestive issues, treat your gut like a baby's gut at the 6-month mark when it's ready to take food in. And by eliminating some of those raw foods, or a lot of those raw foods, and starting off with stews and soups and really well-cooked vegetables, will give your body the chance to ignite that little tiny burning flame, that little tiny piece of coal that's your digestive fires, and will slowly allow them to build up so that you have those working for you. Now, if we come full blast from going from sickness, poor digestive health, poor endocrine health, everything, and we just go in with the raw food, it's like taking a fire hose to a little tiny flame. Okay, we want to do the opposite. We want to take the bellows. Is it the bellows? The thing that they used to use in the olden days that you pump the air into the fireplace. And you have to do it slowly. Like when you're camping, you're going to just slowly blow some oxygen onto that little tiny spark, and you do it very slowly until it ignites and creates this beautiful, dynamic, incredible fire. And you need to treat your gut the same way. So by switching to those raw, really well-cooked raw foods, and when I say well-cooked, I'm talking about putting those vegetables into a pot. You don't need to add any water, or maybe you add 1 to 2 tablespoons. And what you do is just create heat in the pot, and then you turn down the stove until the lowest temperature and cook those vegetables for an hour to an hour and a half. Now, a lot of people say, oh, that's gross. It's going to be like baby food. It's going to be like mush. And yes, that is exactly what we want, so we don't quelch those flames in your healing and digestive system. So let's jump on to, what it would look like to have, partial raw, partial cooked. And that's essentially what makes up the Gerson Therapy. A majority of the foods that you're taking when you are on a plant-based nutritional therapy, a lot of those nutrients are going to be taken in the form of juices. And that's because it removes all the fiber. We've talked about this in previous episodes. So by eliminating the fiber, it's like essentially hooking up a IV bag to your body. You drink the juice. It doesn't have to really interact too much with your digestive system. For sure, your body's going to produce the enzymes to break it down, the bile and everything else. And of course, there's going to be some energy needed to further break down the nutrients from the juice into its finite parts so that you can absorb them. But for the most part, it's super easy on your body to drink juice. Now, the reason we want the fiber from the food is to act as that sweeping action. Okay, we want it to essentially use the fiber from the raw foods and the cooked foods, those really well cooked foods, to clean up the digestive system, to sweep. Now, fiber is incredibly important for maintaining, healthy peristalsis action in the intestinal lining, for cleaning the colon, for sweeping out all the debris, we'll call it all the metabolic waste that gets accumulated, the mucus, the sludge, everything. But it is important to get that fiber in there, and definitely with well-cooked fiber, you are going to make it easy on your digestive system and you won't have to use so much energy. Now, what would a typical meal look like on a metabolic nutrient therapy? In the morning, you could start with oatmeal. If you're not as sick, or if you're not sick at all, you can switch it up between barley, oatmeal, quinoa. You can have all of those things for breakfast. When you are eating your food, you could also stew some fruits, and you can put that on your oatmeal. So stewing grapes and apples, you could stew pears, you can stew peaches and nectarines. You could also put them on your food, on your oatmeal raw as well. Now, one of the things about the raw food, if you are incredibly ill, and you've been suffering with digestive issues for a really long time, or chronic disease issues for a really long time, you might want to consider completely eliminating the raw food for a period of, it could be 6 days, a few days, even up to a month. And then what you're going to do is just reset your gut entirely. Now, taking probiotics is going to be really important. You may want to have potentially a little bit of greens in the form of romaine lettuce, which is pretty easy to digest. A lot of people ask me if they can do iceberg lettuce, and really, no is the answer. So it's just simple no. There's no nutritional value in that iceberg lettuce. It's full of water. That's beautiful, but you can get that water from all your other fruits and vegetables that you can eat in cooked form. And in fact, when you do cook your fruits and vegetables, you don't add any water, and what you'll find is all the water actually naturally gets released from those fruits and vegetables and reabsorbed back into the fruits and vegetables, and you will be left with quite a lot of liquid afterwards. And you don't want to throw that liquid away. You want to drink it, you want to add it into soup, you want to take it back in a shot glass, you don't want to throw it away, you actually want to consume it. Now, if you are sick, like I said, if you try eliminating the raw foods for a while, do that until you see your digestive health improve. So you're going to have better stool samples. So your diarrhea is going to clear up, your constipation will clear up. And what you'll find is that you will have overall better constitution. And you should hopefully find that you have less bloating, less pains in the belly, less gas, everything like that. Now, the probiotics are really important. And as I've mentioned before in previous episodes, prebiotics are also really important. So when it comes to introducing the raw food again, definitely try eating some of the raw food before you have a meal. And it might be in the form of salad. And when you're thinking about making a salad, really try and put as many fruits and vegetables into your salad as possible. 70% vegetables to 80% vegetables. If you want to add fruit, you can add that and make up the difference of the 20%, or else you could just go strictly 100% vegetables. Think about root vegetables, leafy greens of all different types and varieties. For the brassica family, I would suggest eliminating those and cook those at all times if you suffer from digestive issues. Now, in the brassica family, you have the broccoli and the cabbages and the kales, the collard greens, and the Brussels sprouts. I love Brussels sprouts, by the way. So, cook those at all times. They really have high oxalic acid. They're really hard to digest. So allow the heat to break those down, and you're still going to get a wealth of nutrients. Now, I know the number one question everybody says is, well, I'm going to be killing off all my nutrients. But you have to remember that to actually destroy the mineral and vitamin, it really takes quite a lot of heat for most of those vegetables. You can look this up on charts. Google, at what heat does vitamin C get destroyed? At what temperature does manganese and phosphorus and magnesium, potassium, sodium, chloride, all of those minerals, everything on the periodic table get destroyed? And you'll see that the temperatures are quite high, in fact. And so you don't have to worry about destroying those. The other thing that's quite fascinating, there's been a few studies, and we'll try and find them and post those for you, but to show that for certain foods that are cooked, they actually release more nutrients that are bioavailable to you. So by cooking certain foods, you actually get access to more nutrients. For example, when you cook spinach, vitamin K increases tremendously. I think it's something almost like 3,000%. It's insane. And don't quote me on that. We'll find you some information and post that online. But cooking food can actually help to crack open those, really tough to crack open cell walls to release those minerals and nutrients that are available in the intracellular fluid as well as the extracellular fluid of the plant. And so by cooking food, you get access to more nutrients. Not all of them, but definitely some of them. Now, I know this is a lot of information, and I know you've been told by so many people, eat raw, and you tried eating raw. One of the things that I do have to say about most of the raw food cookbooks that I've seen is that they add so much sodium, so much Celtic sea salt, so much Himalayan sea salt, pink salt, blue salt, like seriously, so many different types of salt. At the end of the day, all of those salts contain high sodium. So sodium chloride, okay, is definitely something you want to eliminate out of your raw food diet. You are going to get access to so much sodium if that is what you're eating, a raw food diet. And we're talking about a really good raw food diet, right? We're talking about vegetables and fruits. And a lot of people feel that they need to add the extra salt to stimulate those taste buds that we have that have been so accustomed to a high salt diet. But if you eliminate all of that salt, you're going to allow your body to take up the potassium instead and the magnesium instead. And so by stimulating those systems where you're uptaking potassium, uptaking magnesium, you get a healthy balance of potassium to sodium, magnesium to calcium, and so on and so on. So try eliminating the salt if you do feel that you want to do a raw food cleanse or a raw food diet. And I feel that when people do that, and I've seen it, that they actually have much better success with their raw food diet because of the fact that sodium is an enzyme inhibitor. Now, if you are switching to the cooked food, just be mindful of how long you stay on all cooked food for, because again, having the prebiotic insoluble fibers diet that you get from eating raw foods is going to help to stimulate and feed the probiotic, that bacteria makeup in your gut. And it really needs those prebiotics to be able to then hang on and create additional probiotics to increase that healthy gut flora. I think for so long we've been focused on probiotics, but we have not really been thinking about prebiotic. And check out Gut Bliss. It's an incredible website. We posted it before. Amazing book called Gut Bliss that really explains all of that, the need for prebiotics and probiotics. And really the prebiotic food comes from your insoluble fibers and the raw food that you get from those beautiful greens, leafy romaines, the escarole, pretty much any of the insoluble fibers that you get from eating a delicious, amazing, organic, whole food, vegetable, and some fruit diet. Now, we've covered a lot here between raw and cooked. Again, if you can remember those two things only, and keep this as a picture in your mind, is that you don't want to squelch any remaining digestive fires that you have left. From a traditional Chinese medicine perspective, I usually refer so many people to Dr. Sunny Lee in Vancouver, but every community around the world has incredible TCM practitioners. And often my clients that I refer to, these TCM practitioners, especially Dr. Sunny Lee, they can walk in and in 2 seconds, they say, quit drinking those cold smoothies first thing in the morning, because when you wake up after sleeping, we need to stimulate those digestive healing fires. And the minute you slam back a cold smoothie first thing in the morning as your only breakfast, so many people are living on smoothies. And even though we have an amazing juice bar at the Green Mustache and we serve a ton of smoothies, we encourage our customers to eat warm food first and then take their smoothie later on, maybe an hour or two after they've had the warm breakfast in the morning. as opposed to just slamming back a cold smoothie. It's quite a shock to the system. I know I can't handle it very well, even though I have incredible digestive powers. I feel like I don't get much bloating. I don't get much gas. I really don't get, I don't have skin issues. I'm sure I have lots of other issues that could pop up at any time. But when it comes to digestive health, I've always had incredible digestive powers, I feel, and I don't suffer from a lot of those symptoms that I see so many people in our community suffer from. But the minute I start drinking cold smoothies first thing in the morning, I recognized it was not good for my system. And so I returned back to having, a delicious, really well-cooked oatmeal with a stewed fruit on the side. And then later I would switch over to some more raw food, and always incorporate raw and cooked at lunch and dinner as well. So lots of information. Hang on to the fact that you don't want to quelch those digestive fires in your belly, that your belly is like a baby's new gut, when it's first introduced to food at the 6 months, 7 months time of age. And you want to make sure you're being really, really gentle to your system and get that combination of raw and cooked into your diet. And you could actually do quite a lot to heal yourself. The biggest thing about eating as well is that if people have really poor digestive health, one of the things that they can do is, no matter if you're on a raw food diet, a cooked, or a combination of both, stop drinking water with your meals. Stop drinking water just before you drink or eat, and stop drinking it right after you eat as well. Just give your body some time, because your digestive acid, your hydrochloric acid that's in the belly, in the stomach, your pancreatic enzymes, all the enzymes in the body. Essentially, when we're drinking so much water before, during, and after a meal, you end up diluting those powers. And so allow your food, your body, to create everything it needs without diluting it, so it can break down the food for you. And once it can break down the food for you, then you have better access to those minerals, nutrients, enzymes, et cetera, as well as all those things that we can't measure. Okay. It's really important to remember there's so much in beautiful organic whole foods, and non-organic whole foods that cannot be measured, as well. We don't know yet how to do that. And we don't have the tools that are available to do that. So thank you for joining me today. Tell me how it goes. If you do have digestive issues, you can't afford to get to a healthcare practitioner, you can't afford to take all the supplements that your naturopath and other healthcare practitioners might recommend, do these simple things and see how that works out. And write us and let us know. Try it for 3 to 4 weeks and see if anything changes in your gut health. So try switching to cooked food for a few weeks, really well-cooked food, all organic, plant-based foods. Try eliminating a lot of those heavy grains and legumes for those first few weeks as well, and then slowly introduce them afterwards, but make sure again that they're all very well cooked. And then slowly start introducing raw food again back into your diet. And, really keeping that ratio of cooked to raw, especially if you have a chronic disease, to about 70% cooked, 30% raw. You are going to see magic happen in your body. And let us know how that goes, because we want to hear about your healing stories. And as well, try to eliminate drinking water before, during, and directly after your meal, and tell us how that goes. We want to hear about that. When it comes to water, again, listen to our water video. We did talk a lot about it. Fruits and vegetables offer so much amazing H2O. It's present in, 70 to 80, 90% of all of our fruits and vegetables, and you can get a lot of water. So increase your vegetable intake, your fruit intake, and you'll be increasing your water intake naturally. So thank you for being with me. I am going to buzz off to more meetings this afternoon as we really strive to make people healthy by inspiring them to eat well, to drink well, to get off the processed foods, to get on and hooked on the organic, plant-based, organic, meaning that it's real food, it's natural food, it's the least contaminated by pesticides, herbicides, insecticides, and all other chemicals, and the least genetically modified that we can find. Once you switch on to that amazing lifestyle and amazing diet, then you can actually achieve optimal health. And that's what we're striving to do with the Green Mustache, with Richer Health, with the Richer Health Retreat Center, and our new nonprofit, the Sea to Sky Cancer Thrivers. Check out all our websites, get in touch. And if you do have a chronic disease and you need help navigating all of the healthcare systems that are available to you, we can help you with that as well. Stay tuned for our next talk every Tuesday at noon. I will definitely try to be on time next week at 12 o'clock as we get into the world of health, orthomolecular medicine, nutrition, and healing the body one cell at a time. Bye-bye.